All right, let's go ahead and work on another triple ratio question. Let's go ahead and get that fear out of that system. So, as always, we'll read the question first. So it says, if there are 10 tulips, what is the total number of flowers in the garden? So, just like in the previous question, we're given a part and then we're looking for the total. So we'll say we have 10 tulips and then we are trying to find the total. So just like in the previous question, so this one's really, really, really similar. We see that we have 3 to 2 to 5. And so we have to understand what that 3 to 2 to 5 really represents. So here we go. We see that it says roses to tulips to daisies. So that 3 to 2 to 5, that's represented as roses to tulips to daisies. And so with that said, well, which of those numbers can we already use, my party people? Which of those numbers can we already use? Yeah, tulips. Because remember, everybody, we're trying to compare the same things in the same way. So if we have 10 tulips, again, the number doesn't matter. We are comparing tulips to total. We have tulips right there. So I'm going to place the 2 for tulips right there. Booyah. And then up next, I need to figure out what I'm going to represent the total with. And I can do that quite easily by just adding things up. So with that, booyah, we're going to add 3 plus 2 plus 5, giving us a total of what, my party people? Yeah, giving us a total of 10. So we have 10 total. Perfect. We can place that in the parts, not the actual total, but the part of the total. So now we're good to go. Easy enough. Set up our proportion. I'll put an x right there. So 10 over x equals 2 over 10. And so with that, we can cross multiply and divide, nice and easy. You can compare, you can simplify. It's all going to be the same thing. So we see that we're going to cross multiply and get 2x equals 100. And then once we divide both sides by 2, everybody, what's 100 divided by 2? Oh yeah, that's going to be 50. And our correct answer here is x equals 50. Boom, perfect, all good, all done, and we are set. And one more time, just to express this before we go to the next problem, the last problem here, remember that the reason that it's important to understand setting up the proportion the right way first is because if you would have tried to throw in the 3 here or the 5 there, you would not be able to add it back up to get a total because it's not tulips to roses, it's tulips to roses to daisies. So you're forced to represent the proper total here in order to get this done the right way. So with that said, I want to go ahead and push forward here into one more problem before class ends. It's going to be, could be the same, could be different. I'm not going to tell you, not going to give you a good hint, but we are going to give this our best shot. All right, here we have this next question where the first thing, as always, that we're going to do is we're going to read that question sentence first. And this is indeed going to be a proportions problem, so pay very close attention. Watch how I take care of this. So in the question sentence, it says, if there are this many total vehicles, again, read the key words, not the numbers. It's about what the numbers mean. So the 180 that we see here is the total vehicles. And we're asking how many motorcycles are there? Everyone, one more time before I continue, drop everything you're doing and answer that question for me. Can you confirm with your eyes that the 180 here represents the total vehicles and we are looking for motorcycles? Can we confirm that? Good, because that is the first and biggest part to succeeding in this question. So let me write this down here. We have 180 total. Let me write this down. 180 total. And we are looking for the number of motorcycles. I'll just use the letters MC for motorcycle if that's okay with you. And then if you take a look at the first sentence, this is where everyone gets confused if you got it wrong. A parking lot has motorcycles and cars in a ratio of 2 to 7. Help me out one more time, everybody. When I see that ratio of 2 to 7, the first question is going to be pretty easy. Everybody, what does the 2 represent right there? What does that 2 represent? Yeah, that 2 represents motorcycles. Exactly. So I'm going to write 2 for motorcycles right over here. Because again, if I'm going to set up a proportion, we got to compare the same things in the same way. So I'm going to compare those right there above each other. Awesome. So then it says 7. Everyone, is it fair to say that the 7 goes right here under total? Is that fair to say? Yeah, the answer to that is nope. No, N-O, no, no. And here's why. Everyone, when we read the number 7, right over here, let me grab the purple highlighter. When we see that 7 right there in purple, remember that ratios are read in the respective order. So we are comparing motorcycles and cars, not motorcycles and total vehicles. This says motorcycles and cars. So if I highlight that right there, the 7 represents cars. And for that reason, it cannot go in here. It cannot go in here. It doesn't belong in here. Instead, everyone, remind me one more time. Remind me one more time. What belongs here? What belongs here? What word? Yeah, total. Total, everyone. So think about it. Help me out. If we have 2 motorcycles for every 7 cars, what is that total? What is total? 2 plus 7, that gives us 9. So take a look. Even in a problem, in a proportion problem, where it's not perfectly spoon-fed to you, you can absolutely still get it right because you can use the information that you have to get the information you need to find the information you're looking for. So with that said, everyone, once we get the 9, again, getting the total of motorcycles and cars, once we have that 9, now we're prepared to solve this. I can eliminate this little thing right there. And now I can go ahead and compare, very carefully here, total to motorcycles. And here we go. 180 over X equals total 9 over motorcycles, which is 2. Booyah. All set. And now we're good to go. So I can cross multiply and divide if I want to. We can do other things too, because this is just times 20. And 2 times 20 is 40. But we can cross multiply if we'd like to. 9 times X. 180 times 2. And then lastly, we'll divide both sides by 9. And so once we do that, nice and easy on both sides, cancels out on the left, and we end up getting X equals 40. So we can get the answer a couple of different ways, but we couldn't get it at all unless we had the proper setup. The correct answer here, my party people, is A, 40 motorcycles. And there we are. Again, the biggest key was adding the motorcycles and cars to get the total. So there we go, everyone. On to the next one.